I'm MC Toon, the worst rapper in the world. How you doing tonight? We've got a special farewell to gravity, and I have with me Craig from FTFE. How you doing, sir?
Well, my heart's breaking, actually. This is a day that I hoped would never come, frankly. And I don't quite know how to deal with it.
I've been crying.
Yeah.
Just like in the corner rocking, just saying it can't be.
I spent the majority of the day in the fetal position.
Yeah. I'm wearing a shirt with buttons. This is as formal as I get. Buttons.
Well, I only have these one t-shirts because the NASA CGI doesn't allow for multiple clothing programs. So yeah. But gravity, right? I mean, all of the times that we've spent with gravity and
the good times, the bad times, the ups, and of course the downs.
Yeah, the ups and the downs, and the side to side in Cavendish experiments as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember at the beginning of the universe when gravity literally created everything. That was something that I don't think I can ever forget.
Yeah, it was. What will we do without it? But now that there are some benefits, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to weigh anything anymore, so I guess I don't need to keep dieting. There's that.
Yeah. It makes getting around a little easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's.
I guess we don't need airplanes anymore. We could just fly, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, flat earther style, you should be able to just jump and then let the world rotate underneath you.
Oh, yeah, of course. Exactly like happens with drones and everything.
Oh wait, no, I don't think he's going to disprove conservation of momentum like all the flat earthers think happened.
Now, I guess what some of the flat earthers are going to ask is, which gravity are we saying goodbye to, Newtonian or Einsteinian?
I don't know. Both?
Yeah, I guess so.
I love when they're like, which one? Like, you don't understand this. The fact that you don't understand it doesn't present a problem to science.
No.
It's just you.
Oh, you should see Flatsoid FE did a video about me today saying FTFE attempts science on a video on a comment I left. And the amount of misunderstanding of science, and one of the comments is totally about, oh, doesn't he know that Einstein dismissed Newton in no, just no. Stop it.
It's not how it works.
The same song and dance for 3 years. But at the end of the day, none of it matters anymore because gravity's gone.
Tonight will be Doug DeArros.
Yes.
So we've got this one I think has something referenced to you and your Monday afternoon streams. From Throw the Dwarf says, help, I jumped, get me down.
Come back down from the ceiling. I can't.
Just push off the ceiling.
Yeah. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But not since 8th grade.
Well, come in, create a quick character, come in and join for a session. We recently defeated a humongous demon by literally throwing my character at it.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, my character has a helm of horns that have quite high damage, and the strongest person in the party threw me at the enemy. It hurt a bit, but the enemy died. So yeah,
that's good.
Hashtag throw the dwarf.
Oh, yes. I my one of my kids was at a friend's house, and she's like, I think they play D&D. I want to play D&D too. Like, okay, that sounds fun. But she didn't know for sure what it was. So I'm like, well, so I'm asking her these questions. I'm like, well, is there like different people that have characters on sheets? Yeah. And is there like one person that's in charge? Yeah. What's that person called? Oh, I don't know. Is it Dungeon Master? Yeah, that's it.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, for the first 5 or 6 sessions, I mean, I honestly still now have no idea what I'm doing. I just go, can I make this move? And the Dungeon Master goes, yes, Craig, yes, you can. Can I do this? No, you're not allowed to do that. But I wanna. You're not allowed, but I wanna.
Go ahead.
Gravity. I am sad. I wonder if anyone else has read the book that is going to be in the future. All children at school are going to have to, know off by heart, right?
It's called The Bubble.
Bubble. That's
you can
right.
get it on Amazon,
or for free as a PDF.
He has it on his website. Which I think is in the description to the next video.
It is impressive that the science denier had the attention span to write a book. However, reading the book, you kind of think this guy has no attention span.
It is the chapters are short. But here's you got to give him credit. Got to give him credit.
I thought that I was missing a page. I was like, oh wait, where's? Oh, I must maybe click next or something. No, that is the entire.
That's the chapter. You got to give him credit. He has done in this one book more trying to support his position than all the flat earthers combined ever have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean,
I
think
him
he
that.
most flat earthers in the fact that he can read and write.
Well, yeah. Does he have a name for his alternate theory? Wonders Beast Militia. The Bubble.
Yeah, it's basically replacing a lot of stuff that gravity does by saying, well, the aether does it.
Yeah, there's aether, there's springs. We don't want to ruin it.
Oh wow, yeah.
He changes up the entire model of the atom. It's out the door goes the Bohr model.
Yeah, absolutely. The entire standard model of physics disappears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he replaces screw the strong force and the weak force and electromagnetism. We don't need them.
And anything quantum.
Yeah. Nobody understood that anyway, right? What did Feynman say? If you think you understand quantum, you don't understand
quantum. You don't understand quantum.
Yeah. I want to say...
remember, Davey told both of us that the quanta of gravity doesn't exist. So apparently, according to him, that means that both gravity and quantum doesn't exist.
Yeah. Even though his citation, Freeman Dyson, is like, no, that's not a problem. It doesn't need to be a quanta. Never mind that Davy's own citation contradicts Davy.
No,
I don't mean Davy. I mean, water is always level.
Of course.
Yes,
I mean, I totally agree.
I didn't mean Davy. All right, let me read. I got Rodent, no last name, says, R.I.P. Gravity. You will be missed. Ride to Valhalla, shiny and chrome.
Yeah. I mean,
hey,
all those times that it held me to the ground.
We promised each other we wouldn't cry.
I know, but all those times I didn't float off into the vacuum of space. I just can't forget those magical moments.
General E. Shady says airlines are gonna be pissed, but I think good for them. The without gravity, I think they're gonna get a lot better mileage.
Yeah. Oh, Robski in the chat has a good question. He says, "What's going to happen to black holes now that gravity isn't a thing?"
Ooh. Well, I guess they have to give up all their matter.
Yeah. LIGO won't be detecting any more waves of any kind.
I don't know.
Maybe the waves of springs, or I don't know. Spring waves. That makes sense. Now, obviously, guys, you need to be aware that to keep an eye on the Nobel Laureate Selection Committee, because this guy will be at the forefront of the physics selection for the Nobel Prize, obviously. And it's going to be a great moment in history. And obviously, everyone's going to have to get on board with helping to build the statues of this guy to put up in their local neighborhood.
The nice thing, though, for building statues is to get them up, just to lift them up, it'll be like easy, right?
Yeah, of course. You'd have to worry about them going too far up, right?
Yeah, so
the statues it's gone again. Every time.
Keep losing it. What's going to happen to the sun? Oh, he goes over that.
Oh God,
It's good. He gave me a little preview of his presentation. He has a good presentation. It will be good.
I mean, when you say good, you mean entertaining, right? You don't mean good as in a peer review scientist would look at this and go, that's good.
Yeah.
I just did have a terrible thought. Right?
I've talked to him twice. I've really enjoyed talking to him. So,
well, I tried to talk to him, and he blocked me in about 5 sentences.
Well, let's be honest. You can be a little harsh.
I mean, I wasn't even harsh. He told me that education is like pointless and it's just the words of other men. And I said, literally, this is all I said. I said, well, that statement kind of shows me that you've never been in higher education, which I thought was a fair and logical statement. And he just flipped the fucking shit on me.
Well,
he's like, oh, you're so rude. I'm blocking you.
He's all right, so,
it's everybody ever that's got a degree of any kind. And me saying, I guess you haven't got a degree is apparently insulting to him.
He's gone to university. Some.
He told me he's a couple of classes away from getting a bachelor's in physics.
Yeah.
It's not really how that works, but I highly doubt that after reading his book. I imagine he may have went to the course and spent a lot of time making this face.
Let's be honest. Come on. There were times when all of us did that in the physics courses.
Yeah. And then that's the face I also made when I found out there's flat earthers.
Yeah.
Come on.
I took engineering classes and chemistry is one of the requirements, even though I wasn't a chemical engineering major. We had to take mechanics and statics and dynamics and chemistry. And so we're in the chemistry, and it's not the like 101 chemistry, it's the 220 or something, or the higher level. And we're in there, and the guy breaks out some integrals in chemistry. And we all look at him like, what? You do integrals in chemistry? And yeah, we were doing calculus in chemistry, and I have no idea what it was about. Haven't done a lot of chemistry since.
I mean, in nuclear physics, you have to kind of do, in fact, you have to do calculus a lot of time to figure out, what's going to change to what and what reaction rate and, half-lives. Doing that kind of high-end maths is a lot of chemical reactions. You can only really understand it and quantify it by doing higher level maths. So, but this guy, obviously, anyway, it doesn't matter if I've got a degree in physics or you've got your qualifications in chemistry, because he's rewriting physics, right? We've got a whole new load of physics to learn.
Absolutely. It's all going out the window.
Yeah.
So, or you can send it out the sunroof, and it'll just keep going.
Yeah, just, there's times when your kids jump into your arms, just don't miss, because they're just going to keep going.
Oh, yeah. I suppose that there may have to be like rescue parties and things set up after this.
It's have to put nets over everything, aren't they?
There you go. Every city has a net.
Yeah. There's times like cats try to jump up onto tables and stuff. They're just going to be banging into ceilings. Coming back down.
Can you imagine the cat trying to jump on the table?
Just keeping on going.
So, do you still have your cat, or did that...
one of my cats passed away, Rufus. Okay. So I've got three more though. Esme over there and Cookie over there.
All right, we're still on one cat. I love cats, but I can't eat a whole.
It's good with barbecue sauce.
I can't eat a whole one.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love when they jump up on the table. And they sit there like, this is my table. You're like, get down, you stupid cat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Dogs have owners. Cats have servants.
Yeah, staff.
And yeah, a dog will come up onto your lap because it loves you and it wants cuddles and stuff. A cat will come up onto your lap because you're warm. Yeah. Well done, my human water bottle.
You're the source of neck scratches.
Yeah. I'm warm and I'm gonna get something that I like. I don't care about you. I just want what I want. Human, serve me.
Let's see.
But we're happy to do it as well.
Cretan Bull. I think this is a good idea. Everybody maybe want to take heed. In preparation for the death of gravity, I've battened down my valuables and padded my ceiling. I'm scared but excited. Let's do this.
I know it's going to be a hard transition for a lot of people. I imagine everyone's had to live with gravity for their whole life.
Yeah. I wonder, will we just stop using force-based units generally because they won't be applicable?
Obviously, Newton is going to be removed from physics completely.
Yeah. So then this Rocky Bixby's comment makes sense. Sounds great for the people that want to lose weight, not mass.
Yeah, no, I won't weigh anything anymore, so it's going to be brilliant. You know what is going to be good is the missions to Mars and the Moon are going to end up costing a lot less. Not going to need as much food, right?
That is, I mean, you always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah. You could just get a few people, just stand underneath the rocket and go, ready? 1, 2, 3, and off it goes. All right, hit Mars in a couple of months. There you go.
Yeah, they could make a big ballista.
Yeah.
That's all they need. Just, a bow at the front or up high and then string and then just, yep. I made my friends and I made a big trebuchet, 15 foot tall at the pivot, 30 feet tall at the tip of the arm, and it releases the projectile at about 45 feet high.
Me and some of my friends tried to make a robot to enter into Robot Wars, and when we turned it on, it not only destroyed the shed it was in, but itself. Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, we had a massive 2-tiered rotating lid that sat on top of something that span it round, and then it was separated with bearings, so the top would kind of spin individually. But it went haywire because it wasn't weighted properly, and there was 2 different rotational speeds. It just kind of shook the shed that it was in apart, and then just destroyed itself.
You all go running away.
Yeah, it was we were just like, we're getting out of here. Yeah, just wait till it's finished doing what it's doing.
We've never done anything like that with our trebuchet. Never has something almost landed on somebody.
Oh. Throw the Dwarf's got a very good point that he's worried about the fish.
The fish. Oh.
Yeah.
Without the water being held down. The water will kind of be in spheres, right? Because the second law of thermodynamics is still there.
Yeah, of course.
Thermal.
So there's just going to be, what you're saying is there's just going to be balls of fish water floating around.
Yeah.
Just giant ones with whales in and stuff.
I suppose it might make shipping fresh sushi easier.
Yeah, definitely.
You could get it to Minnesota here with still live fish, and so yeah, that'd be good.
Heat Shield says now realize he wants me on my BattleBots build team. Did you not hear what I said? I built a robot that killed itself when I turned it on.
Hey, King Crew for Pyro says, RIP Gravity, no more blood sacrifices to NASA. We can tell Keela her goats are safe.
Wait, whoa. If you don't give your blood sacrifices to NASA, how am I getting paid?
Yeah, that doesn't change any of that stuff, people. Jeez.
God. I mean, where are we going to get our adrenochrome from? Come on.
Yeah, no kidding. To slurp. We've got the adrenochrome slurper in there.
Adrenochrome slurper.
Skydiver Tanner wants you to help him make a new resume.
Oh, yeah, because as a skydiver, you're more going to be a sky floater, aren't you? Jump out the plane. Ah, shit.
All the parachute manufacturers are going to be screwed.
Yeah.
They're out of business.
Wow, you're just going to have to, instead of being a skydiver, you're going to have to jump out of a plane and, have a fan with you or something that you just point upwards and slowly pushes you down.
Everybody could have a fire extinguisher like in WALL-E to move around.
Yeah, wow.
Let's see. Rodent No Last Name says, my brother is really dumb. Does that make it Wait for it. Relative density.
But
All right, see yourself out, rodent.
I'm a dumb flat earther. I don't understand science.
yes, we know, Riley. We know.
Make sure I got everything. I love your I have some, but they're all marked steel.
They're pretty dumb if they're marked steel.
Oh yeah. Let's see what
no. Out.
I gotta find it. Where is it?
Someone in the chat's called Brandon Fall. Do you think he's gonna have to change his name to maybe Brandon Float?
Yeah.
Sparky NJ asked me how my debate soundboard is coming. I've got about 10, maybe 11 of the things that I want. I'm actually spending a lot of time going back through my debates for kind of to figure out the most common things that I say in response to normal flirt things. And it's quite difficult to actually get the right phrases that's not like a big, long response. So I'm working on it, but I think once I've got it ready to do it, I'm going to do an entire debate just using a soundboard, MC Tune.
With yourself, just you and a soundboard.
Yeah, well, no, as in I'm going to have things that I've said put onto a soundboard, and then I'm going to pretend that my camera's not working, and then debate them by just using a soundboard.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, because let's face it, we can predict what flat earthers are going to say, right?
Yeah, there's only a few things.
Yeah. So I figured if I can get the 25 most common responses that I've done through my debates and just get those as phrases that are quick responses I can have on a soundboard, and then I will debate somebody by just using that soundboard.
We could probably have the flat earther side on soundboard as well.
Oh, yeah, just like 2 or 3 things you need. Perspective. No.
Yeah.
NASA lies. That's about it, right?
Yeah. You know, there are only 2 experiments that they ever do. Right? There's only 2. There's a high altitude balloon with a narrow field of view, and then they pause. Then they pause it at the right spot. And I love the meme. I think a non-flat earther made this meme and then just seeded it to the flat earthers because it's got the convex or a concave. It's curved up, and they're like, Earth is flat, and it's got a concave horizon. Like, did you not look at that? And then the other experiment. So you're
saying that Earth's a bowl?
Yeah. So the only other experiment they ever do is the low elevation across water in horrible conditions.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 3 foot up and I can't see a curve horizon. All debunked. Brilliant. I see F'd Up World in the chat. The only flat earther that I think I could cope with talking to without banging my head into a keyboard several times says that he'd debate my soundboard. No, but please don't tell the other flat earthers about what I'm doing, okay? They're not allowed to know about the soundboard idea, all right? Yeah, shh, it's a secret.
I am gonna be on with him tomorrow on his channel at 1 p.m. Central Time. So there you go.
What's that in real world time? Not out in the colonies.
I don't know. I can't. 6 hours. It's gonna 7 p.m. for you.
Yeah. So I debated JM Truth earlier. You saw that. I wonder how he's going to react to the getting rid of gravity. I imagine he'd be quite happy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be sad that it wasn't him.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite thing about that entire debate was when he said that no, he doesn't observe things going towards the ground. He observes a change in density happening.
Oh my gosh.
You what now?
I mean, I know you saw it in the chat because I pasted it 1,000 times to ask him for a citation. Yeah. And that's his thing, is to never even try.
You ask him for a citation and he just goes, you can just look this up. So I was like, okay, let's go and look this up. No, it hasn't always said that. Okay, well, can you show me any time where it's said any different. I don't have to provide that to you because everyone knows that's the case.
He tried to redefine the word assume.
Yeah, assume literally means to take into account without proof. That's like, and he's saying, "Nah, I'll tell you what. Originally, it meant the exact opposite, and at some point, they just changed it."
But that document was written in the 60s, 70s, 80s. When did they change the definition of assume? Before or after this document was written?
I mean, because it was definitely still the current understanding back in the 60s and 70s. And throwing telling them that they're doing fallacies is starting to really confuse them. I've taken that on board as part of a debate tactic because they always do it. So I'm getting in there before anyone of them can tell me that I'm doing a fallacy. I identify a fallacy that they're actually using and confuse them with it. Like the fact that JM is using the fallacy of stolen concept by saying NASA said the Earth isn't flat. Yeah. No, NASA say the Earth's a globe. Don't take something out of context and say that it suits your purpose.
Well, the reification fallacy that they love to really do, if their Papa Flurf is Oakley, they go about the reification. So the reification fallacy would be thinking that the model is the one that's right and denying reality, which is exactly what they do. Their model is flat, always fails, but they still go back to it.
And then they say things like gravity is a reification fallacy.
How's that?
And
because they heard somebody else say it. That's it.
That's like, there's wrong, and then there's that. You know,
he's just throwing out fallacy. So I see. Wrote no last name. I don't want to miss this. He said he destroyed gravity, but I like that Clooney movie.
It was all right.
It was all right. I didn't think of it as a Clooney movie as much as what was her name?
I was wondering why people in the chat are saying that I'm hulking out, but I think my light display is making me turn green every now and then.
Oh yeah, I'm colorblind, so I don't pay attention. But
yeah, I saw a meme the other day about the world record colorblind Rubik's Cube solver, and he was just holding up an unsolved Rubik's Cube. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Is that it? Right there.
yeah, well done.
Have you seen UHF? The movie UHF?
No.
What?
What's
all right. This is a problem. I watch it every year around one of my kids' birthdays, and we eat a Twinkie Wiener sandwich.
A Twinkie Wiener sandwich? That sounds so American.
Oh, it's in the movie. So yeah, you take a Twinkie, you turn it upside down, you cut it open, right? And if you've ever had a Twinkie, the cream, which is, you know, no animals were involved in making it. It's a vegan cream. It coats your mouth, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And have you ever had a cold hot dog?
No.
It coats your mouth.
Yeah.
And then you put the hot dog on it, and then you put easy cheese on it. And you know what easy cheese does? It coats your mouth. And then you dip it in milk. Which,
milk happens to coat your mouth.
So you have like all these things, just like you eat it and you're like, that's weird. Hot dog plus sweet plus cheese. And then the flavor just goes weird. Anyway, it's in the movie, and we do it. Anyway, so in the scene, there's a blind guy sitting on a bench with a homeless guy, and he's like, is that it? No. Is that it? No. He just keeps doing that.
Oh God. I've only ever tried a Twinkie once, being in, you know, the land of Scott. It's not a normal thing over here. And I tried it once, and I've seen so many Americans, oh, look at this lovely cake, cream-filled cake, stuff it in their mouth, look like they're so happy. So I thought, oh, this looks nice. I'll take a big bite of it. And I thought I was eating plasticine. How can you guys enjoy these?
We don't.
Like,
no, we don't. I eat one a year. That's it. So.
Yeah, that's even too much for me, thanks. Oh.
So let's see. Yeah, NA has a little pukey emoji going. And then,
Yeah.
Man Devil, Tallahassee is now going after MC Toon.
Tallahassee?
I'm missing. I don't know what that means. So if you want to see from the last Wiki Wiener Sandwich party that we had, I tweeted a whole bunch of it. So go to my Twitter and you'll see pictures and video, and we kind of talk to the screen like in Rocky Horror Picture Show for a few of the scenes. Oh, Man Devil, it's from Zombieland, which I've not seen. Sorry.
Craven Mordic says instead of Twinkies, he's a bigger fan of ding dongs, obviously.
I love the double entendre.
Yeah.
That's so
so I'm not allowed to hang around for this debate then. I'd so love to talk to him.
How about this? We don't want to muddy it. But what if you were there just for the do the intro, and then
how about you just cut to me and I act as though I'm you and see how long it takes him to realize, hi, I'm MC Toon, the worst rapper in the world.
Well, we were just on Zoom today. I think he's gonna know.
No, see, two good-looking guys with glasses, both Caucasian, balding slightly.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, that's me. Sorry. I looked down at the camera the other day and I was like, what the hell's this? There's like a big patch appearing. No.
Oh, Captain Crunch enjoys Twinkies. Whoa, weird.
Ew.
So I might be going to Texas in a couple weeks for a vacation.
Yeah.
So might see about meeting up with team. What do you think?
Yeah, it.
There's Mark Beiser. There's who is JL Warren down there? Why do you have PhD Tony on the screen?
Wait, I've actually got a PhD Tony one here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, no, there's quite a few of them down in Texas.
Yeah. I met a bunch of them when I went to the Flat Earth Global Convention in 2019.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rocky Bixby says, tell him FTFE isn't really there. He's just CGI. There it is.
I am just CGI.
I say Team Skeptic, and look who appears in the chat.
He appeared.
There it is. I could use some time to pick on someone for a few days.
I mean, if you meet up with Team, at least you'll be the good-looking one in the group for a while, you know?
Yeah. Wait a second. Oh, bring water. Oh, yeah. Team, are you able to drink the tap water, or do you have to boil your urine still?
Ooh. So is this PhD Tony, or is this Daniel Pratt?
I don't know. Oh, I bet that's Tony, isn't it? In Pratt's hoodie?
That is actually Tony, yeah.
You should use your After Effects skills to actually put PhD Tony's face on.
I could do that. I could replace PhD. I mean, the only problem is that flat earthers tend to use such low quality cameras that After Effects struggles to map stuff to their face.
Nice. Team Skeptic, don't have to boil my urine anymore. Just drink it straight from the tap. He drinks his urine straight from the tap.
Wait. So is Team saying that his urine supplies everybody's taps?
Is he calling? Is he calling his meat tube the tap? I don't.
I have too many questions. Honestly, don't want answers to any of them.
Do not draw any diagrams, please, Team.
No. It will shut down the internet.
If YouTube would not demonetize my channel, they would demonetize YouTube. So
F'd Up World says Team is killing two birds with one stone. No, Team is killing two stones with one bird.
That's how Team does it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Indie Tiger says, if you're near Tyler, Texas, visit my nephew's brewery, Truevine. Open taps during the weekend.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave alive.
Yeah, let's see. I see a Weird Al reference here. Weird Al Yankovic has a song, Dare to Be Stupid. It should be the theme song for the Flat Earth show. There you go.
Yeah. I quite like my theme tune though that I've got. It works well.
I like that. I think there may be a copyright issue, but you know, I'm sure Al will be calling me soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get Al on my show. Stupidity is not all right.
That'd be fantastic.
And whenever you're free, Tune, you're
I'm
open slot guest.
looking for a Sunday that works. It's middle of the afternoon, so you know I have to have.
Yeah,
I do family stuff on the weekends, so
just say Daddy's going out for some cigarettes. You don't smoke. I said Daddy's going out for some cigarettes.
I've been meaning to start. We got let's see, Little Miss Betty Page, aka Tank Girl Junkie. Very pithy name there. Says if you're going near San Antonio, check out Baludur Forge. I don't know if that was misspelled or if I'm hard to pronounce. Get a blacksmithing lesson with your kids. Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. Well, my wife's got family in the area, so that's part of the reason we can stay there for a good price, which is free.
Yeah. Frank Knight says, will you invite some of us in the chat into the show sometimes? Well, yeah, we've already had community people on. If you want to be on the show, then email the producer,
It's
Vishanti.
Yeah.
I am Vishanti@gmail.com. She's dealing with all the bookings for the show. So just let her know when you're available, and we'll try and get at least one community member on each week.
And I know Vishanti, so if you want to, get a little leg up there, send money my way. I'll put in a good word.
Yeah. Everything Vishanti does depends on how much money MC Toon gets.
So there you go.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Throw the Dwarf says, great new. I am outside and cars still work. Great news.
Oh, for now. In about 20 minutes, any force-based kind of technology is going to be a bit useless.
Yeah, I think two-stroke engines will be the wave of the future because four-stroke rely on gravity to distribute the oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's kind of screwed, really.
Matt Schendler. So when does gravity turn off? My hands are getting tired from hanging on. Maybe another hour.
Yeah.
We shall see.
I mean, I'm lucky because I've read most of his book, so I've got a little bit of a leg up on everyone else with the new physics. So maybe as one of the people that understand this more than anyone else because I read it first, I can get a good job in science at least or something when everything changes. So
yeah. He really has prepared. He has a whole thing prepared. So
I can't wait.
I'm just gonna let you present. So he has like a screen behind him, and he's gonna present on that. It's gonna be good.
You need to get a laugh track, right? But make sure that they can't hear it. Only the audience can hear it. That would make letting a flat earther just talk a lot better. Just having a laugh track on, like.
I do have that the ability to not let you hear things like this.
I'm not the main expert in microwave radiation. What I know a lot about, what you talked about before, is light.
No,
right? I'm not an expert in microwave radiation emissions. My expertise is in the terahertz range.
See that? You didn't hear Mark Steele talk there.
No. But my writing is better anyway.
Brandon,
I'm a flat earther, and I don't understand science.
I'm never going to get bored of that clip ever.
Oh, Witsit. Did you see Witsit debated some guy I didn't know, but did pretty good.
I'm about a third of the way through that, and it's hard.
Oh, it's really hard. But Witsit thinks that gravity is caused by Earth rotation.
I know that's something he said
claim.
to me before. Yeah, I know he said that to me before. Quite a few flat earthers have said that to me before. It's like, would you like some straw for your man?
That, and I gotta say, when I was 5, I heard that from an adult. And when I was 5 and I heard that from an adult, I thought, that doesn't make any sense because I've already spun a bucket with water in it. So I'm getting a little echo coming back from you, from me.
You're getting echo from me, are you?
Yeah, I'm hearing myself back on your side.
Why did that happen?
I don't know.
It was fine just now. I haven't changed anything.
Yeah, and Aiza says, I think I was taught that in school. So I think it may be a common thing that people were taught. It's wrong, but I think it might be common.
Yeah, I don't understand it. It makes absolutely no sense.
Another very common thing that people believe is that that we say that the Earth wobbles. That outside of the Chandler wobble, they think that there's an annual wobble back and forth, and that's what causes the seasons. And I remember seeing a news report, maybe high school time, saying that on the equinox you can balance an egg easier because of the wobble of the Earth is at its neutral position.
Why would they say that?
I don't know.
It's like the I'll be on Facebook arguing with flat earthers, and you get people come in and they go, well, what about the Coriolis? That's why my sink goes one way. And I'm like, no, it's not. The Coriolis does nothing to affect the direction your sink drains. You're making us look bad.
Yeah, it's not strong enough. Yeah, and Globers do that too. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I pop in, I'm like, I don't want to be rude, and I'm not looking to start something here, but I'm on your side. That's not enough.
Just get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Alan says, what? The Cavendish proves rotation? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That too. Oh, jeez. So, all right, we got Michael Hoyce says that this sounds like the Spider Robinson series Starseed. I don't know.
There's a delay on my audio, and I don't know why. I'm just sending you a normal signal.
Are people telling you this?
Someone in the chat says very delayed audio.
Let me talk again.
Testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, I think it might be. Am I delayed? People in the chat, am I delayed, or is it just Craig? Maybe it could be your CGI is off.
Possibly.
So yeah,
After World says my audio is fine. Just that one person, I guess.
All right. So yeah, all right. So let's be clear. There is a Chandler wobble, which is 430 days. There's an annual wobble, but both of those are just a few meters of wobble. And if you look on my website, mc2.net/r, there are one particular study. It's the first or second in the list that talks about actually measuring the Chandler wobble and the annual wobble. There's also the precession, which is multi-thousand years long, but that's not what people think. People think that there's a wobble 23.5 degrees one way, 23.5 degrees the other way throughout the year. And that is not the case.
No. Because there would have to be a force causing that acceleration. What would that be?
I mean, it could be precession, right? A spinning top has precession. The spinning Earth has precession. Just that the time frame.
Yeah, but that's
longer.
That's not that. Yeah, that's not the precession.
It's not spinning fast enough. So let me see. We got little Miss Betty Page, aka Tank Girl Junkie. Can I just call you Tank Girl Junkie or the other one? I don't know. Says no, it wasn't misspelled. He won his EP off Forged in Fire, Huntsman's Axe. He does a lot of lessons. Great guy. Just check out his Insta. Bolunder Forge. Volundr Forge. There you go. Bolunder Forge. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we got Paul Hamish, who apparently was the one that debated Witsit, says it's debating Witsit was my first debate.
Well, you did pretty well for your first debate.
Absolutely. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, Witsit is a special, very
special, definitely.
Short bus special, but he's a special one. And I think he likes to debate people that are not seasoned, because he can just roll over them.
That's why he's now avoiding me when I keep asking him for debate on modern day debates. He says that he won't, but he quite happily talk to Paul, who is a pilot, understands navigation and how planes work and everything. Hasn't debated before, so what happened was Witsit used all the little flat earth gotcha moments, which Paul didn't know how to respond to in the way that you and I and Team Skeptic and other debaters would. Now, that doesn't mean that Paul was wrong in anything he said. It just means that he wasn't aware of the tactics that flat earthers use when they were debate. Paul was right in everything that he said, but it's very, very easy to fall into flat earther traps.
All right. Brandon Fall. Who's Brandon Fall? He's saying all your mods he doesn't like you guys. He says, I know that you will block me because you can't answer the questions I brought up. Thank you for trying. Thanks for trying, though, mods. Brandon Fall, if you're a flat earther, come on the show. Yeah. All right.
I'll tell you what, Brandon, I will debate you on MC Toon's channel.
There we go. We can do it next week. What do you think?
Yeah.
But now it is 13 minutes to go time.
I'm so excited. I've always wanted to be able to fly. So, I mean,
I know. So excited. So excited. I mean, not just while lucid dreaming anymore. This will happen in reality.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
Wait, you know what I am concerned about is the basic plumbing is not really going to work anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to have to put pumps in. Toilets are going to be a mess.
Yeah. Guys, in the next 20 minutes or so, do not use your flush. Well, no, okay?
Do it now.
Yeah, do it now.
So that
after 20 minutes or so, don't. Because that's just coming back.
Oh, that's bad news. All right. I got to read these 3 super chats and then hold on. We're going to start up the next stream here in a little bit. Indie Tiger for $5 says it takes less soil to fill a hole during a full moon. At least that's the myth in civil engineering. That makes sense. That absolutely. Michael Hoyce says third book in the series has gravity being turned off at one point. Everybody who didn't want to go floating off into space had ropes tying them down. Oh, that would be fantastic. That'd be so funny.
Well, Sleeping Warrior did once say that, if you turn off gravity, then our model doesn't work, therefore flat Earth. I mean, you're right. I'm not going to argue with that point.
As if he could do that to reality.
Oh,
jeez. Sparky NJ says, isn't stating there is a container because we have gas pressure because a container is needed for gas pressure a reification or begging the question fallacy? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I was never a big fan of just blabbing out fallacy crap. But
no, I've only started doing it to kind of play them at their own game before they start doing it.
Yeah,
because it's their script. They're getting ready to hit you with a fallacy, and then you smack them with it first, and it throws them off their kilter.
I don't know what to say.
Wait, that's my. Can I time out 33 just for fun, please?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Cool. Put user timeout. Yay.
There you go. Unless he were you the first in?
Oh, I think NANA beat me. No, Stringer News beat me.
It's a game. It's a game we play. So
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Doug sent me a whole bunch of things.
Hey, 33. How many is this? Just one asking for Brainy Beaver. How many is this?
Oh, he's so precious. I had one New Year resolution. That was not to let 33 in my show.
Yeah.
So.
No, he's been messaging me quite every now and then.
It's going well.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, debate me. And then calls me worm over and over and over because, and then asks the same question. But if Mrs. Moon was looking at the Earth,
he has 2 tricks.
Yeah.
All right, if a mod could grab the URL for the next stream and drop that in, I would appreciate that. But we're gonna wrap this one up, and then in less than 9 minutes, we're gonna start the next one with Doug, and it's gonna be good.
See how that goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I mean,
Can't wait.
Sad for Gravity going.
Yeah, obviously, very, very sad.
So there it is. All right. Well, anything else you want to say here, Craig, before we?
Oh, thank you for having me on, as always. Any of my guys that came over, make sure you're subscribed to MC Toon. Otherwise, I will turn up at your house and do it for you.
Sounds good. Perfect. Peter Miss Prime, last one he gets in under the wire, says, all your gravity are belong to us.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. I don't know how I'm going
to. Well, all right. Pull yourself together. We'll see you all in the next stream. Bye.
Oh. Hey, I'm FTFE from the channel that ties stupidity to the train tracks of knowledge, and I'm here for this historic occasion as MC Toon and I learn about the demise of one of the fundamental forces of the universe, as far as we understand it. It is the time to learn why gravity isn't what we've been taught. I am beyond excited to be part of this discussion between MC Toon and his competitor today. MC Toon, thank you for letting me be here.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. This is exciting, historic to have this presentation. It's gonna be amazing. So I'd like to introduce Doug DeArros, who is who's going to be presenting his model of life, the universe, and everything.
Thank you, Craig, or Mr. Michael, Mr. Toon. Sorry,
whatever.
You got mine wrong. I'll have to return the favor right off the bat. And Mr. Craig, it's so nice to see you again.
Lovely, thank you. Looking forward to this. Very excited. Gravity's a longtime friend of mine, so you know.
So we've got a very exciting announcement today. Two unique experiment-based discoveries that seem independent of each other, but actually support the same idea. I'm going to save the punchline to a little bit through my intro, but my goal today is to introduce those two and then start to lean into the model that will do a pretty accurate job of describing them. They're going to raise both of your eyebrows. One of them is going to contradict just the most basic assumptions, such as light traveling in straight lines, the Earth being a sphere, us being in an infinite amount of space. That's a fun one. But the more interesting one is very clean cut and straightforward. I like your literature there. He's reading a physics book, and I'm using mine to prop up my laptop. So two completely different individuals on the live podcast at this point. But anyways, so I've got my textbook handy. I've got a digital version as well, ready to reference on screen. I've got a few YouTube videos and a bunch of deductions based on one single assumption. Now, I'm not going to be able to prove that assumption directly, but I can indirectly prove that this assumption will usually hold true. I think I might have to dive pretty deep to find out how it won't work, because I've spent the last 10 years trying to disprove this. But I finally gave in, and that's when I decided to drop out and write the book. So it's available on Amazon. I'll link it later. But for now, let's get into the discussion. So do I have any questions or comments so far, or am I free to continue?
Personally, I'm just excited.
I'm good. I am too. Trust me, I haven't slept much in the last few days. So if I stumble, just hang with me. I'm working on it.
Sleep is for the weak.
All righty. So shall we begin?
Yes.
Let's get into it. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see everything I'm doing. If I forget to, there's a TV behind me, obviously, that you can just squint your eyes at. But let me go over to the Zoom call, and if I can find it, hit the share video button, if I can find it. There we go. And share the whole screen. I'm not afraid of y'all. I'm not afraid of showing anything. Anyways, so what you see here is a list of statements that Mr. MC Toon and I, and perhaps Craig, if you want to share the file with him there, Michael, then we're going to list. On the left is I, and on the right is my competitor, and we're going to list things that we agree or disagree on. These are true or false statements. They are not arguments. So it's a single statement, and there should be binary in debate. But if we disagree on something, we're going to focus on it until we can come to a conclusion. Anyways, first off, this is my website. It has the book available to read for free. There's no ads. I think it still has a sign-up requirement, but I'm planning on removing that. We're going to use this to reference. Let me just go ahead and load these so I can scroll efficiently. And without any further ado, I think I'm ready. Let's see. There's the index. Let's begin. All right. Let's see. Where was the beginning? Just a moment. I said I was sleepless. So we're going to start with the experiment. Okay, so in the early 1900s, late 1800s, the interferometer was beginning to become a widely used experiment. This is a device that sends a laser beam down a corridor where it's intercepted by a beam splitter. Half the beam will go straight through, and the other half will take a 90-degree angle. Those beams then are intercepted by perfectly flush mirrors. They come back to the beam splitter, and they come out the other side. That's what we see here. If I want to back this up a little bit, traditionally, they were testing the motion of the planet through space. They're trying to find out what direction it was going in, at least. And by using the laws of waves, not necessarily light, but the laws of waves, they assumed that a Doppler effect would show up in the direction that we were traveling. So they tested all directions. And famously, it said that the Earth was, directly interpreted standing still. So this made no sense. And that's when Einstein stepped up to give us relativity, or special relativity, saying that while we move through space, our inertial frame of reference moves through space. And that is where the speed of light remains constant. So it's kind of like the speed of light is moving with you. And there's a couple interesting deductions you can make from that, such as length contractions and time dilations. We know that astronauts experience slightly shorter seconds because of their speed. But I disagree. I don't think it's because of speed. I think it's because of something else. But anyways, so the discovery that was made by the man who posted this video, who is Dr. Martin von Grusnick, he was not aware that it's a groundbreaking discovery. But what he did was he turned it vertical and then rotated it sideways. Let me speed this up. It's already at double. This is a very slow moving object. So what he saw when he changed the altitude of each path, ignore the adjustments he's making right now, he's just calibrating the machine. When he rotates it up and down, the changing of the altitude caused the interferometer to interfere with each other. And you see here the interference pattern moving left and right as the interferometer rotates up and down. And he was able to pinpoint the moment at which it was at its lowest, as you see here, or the highest. I actually have a hard time telling what's up and down in this video, but he'll diagram that out in the end of this video. But without waiting on that too much, let's move on. Escape. Oh, I thought I had a video prepared. Let's see. That was supposed to be. So I made my own interferometer out of Legos. This should be muted. It is. And I recreated this experiment to see for myself. As you can see here, it's supposed to be rotating side to side. I know it looks ridiculous, but it has a $150 little glass cube in there that is supposed to split this beam. I took the mirrors off my old truck, and I just hot glued a bunch of Legos together so that it was rigid, and they couldn't say that it was the flexing of the experiment causing this to happen. So as I wait for this version of me to show what it looks like once it's working. There we go. Anyways, went too far. So we see here that the same thing happens. As I tilt the side that's closest to the camera up, the beams, the vertical dark and light beams shift left and right depending on the altitude. So that is groundbreaking. Now I know we can account that for the difference in density and mediums, which is why I need to expand my research into going to that the giant vacuum chamber that NASA has. I'd love to do that, or just make one myself. But now on to the second experiment, the seemingly unrelated one. This was actually supposed to be the second experiment. I just kind of jumped around. But let's go into the book. That's why it was the first tab, slightly out of order, but I can save it. We are looking for why I traveled out to the salt flats of Utah. And the reason is because of this straight line. This, if you don't know if you could see, let me try to increase the definition here just by clicking on this. There's a little dude here. I think he looks like William Penn. He's looking out onto the horizon, and we can see this white dotted line at the top is tracing out the beam of light that should be his horizon. Then if we use the trigonometry of the Earth being a sphere and the horizon being part of the hypotenuse, subtracting the radius would give us the predicted altitude of that horizon. Now I have that data with me. At least I downloaded it, but I did not put it in order, so I'll omit that for now. But if I were able to, oh wait, it's over here. So we've got these numbers. We'll come back to them later, but different tab. Sorry. This is my first Zoom presentation. You'll have to bear with me momentarily. I was at, I'm sorry, I'm really having a fun time here. Oh yeah, the book, sorry. Okay, so the bottom line is a curve that makes no sense if it were to represent the trajectory of a beam of light. What I'm predicting is that based off of this one piece of data that I have, in lieu of the hundreds of pieces of data that I set out to get but failed to because I just simply didn't have the equipment to go on with the salt flats when it was soft. There is a 75% discrepancy at 50 miles of Earth's surface. What I mean is the math here tells us that you should be able to see 0% of these buildings based off of that math, but we can see 75% of it. Now, I know you're thinking it's due to superior mirage, or it's due to just regular mirage. I'm not sure what the difference is because I know it doesn't work. Mirages are currently explained based off of atmospheric changes, the difference in density in different temperatures of air. So it makes sense that the beam of light would curve towards the normal when going into more dense mediums. However, this is a perfect translation, and it is very, very predictable. It has nothing to do with the temperature or the weather. It is a fundamental curve that light is subject to, and I will expand on that after I let my friend here interject because it seems like he wants to say something.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well then, let me see where I'm at.
I'll mute myself. I'll keep my noises.
No. I like the time off the monologue. It's relaxing. So anyways, what I have here are two colors of dotted lines, which if we take the Earth's surface as a sphere and we flatten it out just for measurement purposes, then we can predict the altitude of the curve up to 25% of the way around the Earth, given about 6,250 miles. That is because we know that a beam of light shot horizontally will eventually be perpendicular to someone 25% of the way around the Earth looking straight up. Oh, sorry, I didn't, let me push these out of the way. Anyways, refocusing. So with the few data points that I have collected based off the testimonies of pilots and others with photographs and the geographical locations attached to those photographs, I have predicted that this curve, the blue one, will be the actual results that we experience. Now, I need to go to salt flats to confirm this, but that will only give me that strange upward curve that I showed you in this book. It looks like gravity is sucking light towards the Earth, but as the light approaches that 25% around the world asymptote, if that's how you pronounce it, it appears to straighten back out in its original trajectory, just a few thousand miles off. So we need to go to an extreme case in order to show that that is the nature of light. And in order to do that, we will need to send a very large, very bright balloon up from the northeastern coast of the United States and have observers located all along the eastern coast of both North and South America. A smaller scale version would be put something along the lines of Tampa Bay and just have everybody lined up along the Gulf of Mexico. But that is a possible verification that we could use to show that light curves down and then back up. So, but what model explains these experimental results? And I'm going to get into that right now. So my entire theory is pinned on this assumption that there is a spring of ether between the electron and the proton, which separates what I sometimes refer to as the anti-neutron, as you see in this diagram here. Is that too far zoomed in? Let me.
That's a little, yeah.
Let me back that up just a bit. I'll get the theater mode going on here. That should work, shouldn't it? Let's give it a second. So, how does it look? Better?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so this diagram is my entire theory in a nutshell. If we assume that protons and electrons are attracted to each other, it can be described, and here's one of my first statements. The attraction between protons and electrons can be described using Coulomb's law. I say that that is true. That is debatable, so I'm going to say that's an assumption, but I'm going to say that I believe it is true. And we can debate that for probably the next 12 months and have a lot of fun with it. But getting back to the presentation at hand, if this assumption were true, which we'll try to verify later, then the nature of the atom would be much like this. It's consider a tiny universe with only 4 sets of particle. That is 4 springs of ether acting on 4 antineutrons, separating them into 4 sets of siblings, I call them. The siblings being those attached. Now we know that the protons are attracted to the electrons, but this spring prevents these two from being attracted to each other directly. So keeping that in mind, there are probably about 3 major parts to explaining gravity here, but we're going to focus, we're going to neglect the...
just to be clear, we have, what are the yellow things?
The yellow things are springs of ether. They're really poorly drawn out here, so I should probably go back to the book.
And what were the red things?
Protons.
And
so
then
you had a red and the yellow dot there connected by a yellow spring. The red were the protons, the yellow dots were the electrons, and the spring was the aether spring connecting the two.
Yes.
Right?
And here's a much better image that shows that.
Wow.
Okay.
So
the electron and the proton are connected by the aether spring?
Yes, but only a single unique pair. Not all electrons are connected to all protons. So there are a seemingly infinite number of these springs that create a sea of these ether. And I'll let you in on a hint. They all converge somewhere, but they're very orderly, and it causes the atom to be inside out if we're taking this one step further. So we are going to start with a tiny Big Bang, and then we're going to see how it would play out. So,
right. And just to also be clear, in the middle are these, what color are those things in the middle of the 4?
Gray.
Gray. Those are electrons.
Neutrons. They have no charge.
Where's the electron? Where's the electrons in
the
this?
yellow dots are the electrons.
These are the electrons.
On the outside. Okay.
Right. I can go to a better image if you want a good visual.
Ben D says his whole screen is not showing force. No, it is. It is. I'm just he's just kind of I'll adjust a little more, but he's showing, like, zooming in sometimes a little too much and stuff. So
yeah, I'm gonna try to make this screen a little smaller so it doesn't have that issue in the future.
Okay.
So I'll try to center it right here. And that should be that. So anyways, let's get back to this video. Or actually, I have a small slide-by-slide presentation that we can jump into to focus on this more intricately. So we have this these 4 bits of energy that become the ether, and they separate the 4 anti-neutrons, the black holes that you see here, into these pairs, these 2 imaginary particles. Imagine it's like nothingness of the universe before the Big Bang is represented by a smooth beach made out of sand. If we were to dig a hole, we would create a pile. That's like the matter and the antimatter, or the neutron and the antineutron. Now, if you wanted to dig up the whole planet, you would eventually cancel out the old holes with the new piles, and that's what the state of the universe was before the Big Bang. It was static, constantly matter and antimatter canceling each other out. That's just where I'm going with this artistically. But if you were to somehow fill in that hole with an imaginary substance by creating an imaginary anti-substance and separating the two, then that's like putting imaginary sand in the hole and having an imaginary anti-sand somewhere else. And that is basically the fundamental idea of 1 and -1 being the neutron and the antineutron, and the 2 imaginary numbers, that is the square root of -1, being the imaginary particles. So it's very parallel to the mathematical logic of the imaginary number being the imaginary particles, but that allows the universe to exist. So from nothing plus energy, you can essentially get this all 3 forms of matter existing at once, plus this spring of energy, allowing it all to exist that way. So I know you're eager to get into the testable vector formulas of gravity. So without further ado, again, I use that word, these are the dotted lines that you're interested in. The dotted lines are repulsive forces between protons and between electrons and electrons. The arrows that you see between, say, these 2 guys are the ether, and the solid lines are the attraction forces. So
so to be clear, you have replaced electromagnetism with ether.
Well, not necessarily. Ether is
have
an additional force that was previously overlooked in a way, and I'm trying to introduce it. And
but
by figuring out the rest of the forces, I can deduce what the ether actually causes.
I'm trying to get some clarification here because due to Coulomb's law, electrons and protons are attracted to each other outside of whatever additional thing you might be presenting, right? Am I understanding that right?
Right. So what I'm saying is I'm using Coulomb's law as like a temporary placeholder for this theory while it's in development. But I'm sure that we can experimentally verify how by removing the centrifugal forces and the attraction force, we can figure out how much left is there regarding the spring's contribution. But the reason that I can say that gravity often acts like charge, like Coulomb's law here being this function and gravity being a very similar looking function, it is because that is part of the net force that we call gravity, the outward acceleration of 9.8 meters per second. So I'm suggesting overall that there are about 3 major parts in one tiny, almost negligible part, which is the spring. The spring just fundamentally causes the atom to be inside out, which the video should be explaining and not me rambling on about. So let me try to get back to this without trying to confuse the audience and my competitors, because I gotta say everything I need before I give you the floor. So let me try to zoom back in. That should work, and I'll hit play. Oh, too far forward. I gave away some information. All right, so that's what the Big Bang should look like. I'll play it one more time. It is essentially a Big Bang followed by a big implosion. And then because these electrons are attracted to all the protons, essentially, then they want to be in the average location of all the protons, or conceptually speaking. So that's why I believe that they would reside in the middle. And these protons are masses on a spring going around in circles that try to drag the electron away from the center. But because of that spring, the electron holds the proton in close with a radius, preventing it from flying off into the abyss. And that is why I believe the atom is inside out. So that's part 1. Now part 2.
All right. So the electrons are in the middle?
Yes.
And what holds them together?
The ether is responsible for the electrons being in the middle, and I'm eager to get some.
So you've replaced electroweak holding protons together with ether holding electrons together.
Right. And making them be inside instead of on the outside on a valence shell. They're inside of the protons and neutrons because of the force created by the spring.
Right. So the spring acts more like a leash and exerts only a negligible amount of force, because remember, it just prevents the attraction between that particular electron and that particular proton, but it acts more like a limiter on how far away the proton can get from the center. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the weak forces can, I'm not a college graduate with a bachelor's degree. Like, I'm very close to it, but I dropped out several times and I just decided to do it this way. But I believe that the weak forces that hold atoms together could be described by the entanglement of these springs. And we can save that for a later debate. I would consider it a pseudoscience, more like a speculation on my part, because I can take this thing so far, but honestly, I need a bit of an army of grad students to get the next book solid.
Hey, Toon, I do see PhD Tony in the chat, and I'm slightly concerned for him.
Yeah, he is probably gonna have an aneurysm. So PhD Tony, be careful. Maybe pause it, breathe deep. All right.
I know.
Sorry. All right.
But all I'm saying is I'm making claims here. I took the concept of this assumption, and now I'm making claims along the way. And at some point in the next 10, 15 minutes, it's going to make a lot of sense. Because it's going to. Okay.
Can I just ask? That big assumption that you're making. What made you come to that assumption? Was there an observation or?
Yes. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm just going to read the back of this book here. It says, in 2nd and 3rd grade, I spent the whole first day of class skimming through the diagrams on the new textbooks. I came across this one of the eyeball and how the lens flips the image that you see upside down. So I always just kind of thought the ground and the ceiling were actually flipped. So I entertained that idea, and then eventually I came to this this bizarre conclusion, but I couldn't disprove it. So I had to find an assumption that supported that conclusion. So I really did this backwards, but I've always had this answer in my head, and I've just kind of had to dig it out. And after learning about the interferometer and the laws of light in modern physics, I decided that this is all the information I need and ready to go. So that's where we're here, but we're all on the bridge. It's not going to make sense until I get closer to the end of this book.
Let's keep going then.
All right. So if we can assume that conceptually this is what follows, then we can consider a universe with more atoms, and we'll see that those with the lowest proton to mass ratio, as you can see, this guy is about 33% protons, 50 and 100. Then the heavier elements, in another sense, are going to be centrifuged out towards the edge. So we'll find a lot of hydrogen floating around the center, but we'll find the heaviest, most nuclear radioactive ones as the shell. And I say shell because once you have enough of them, the inner bubbles that I would say get collapsed due to the magnetic pressure. I'm using terms very loosely, so if anyone wants to rewrite this,
no kidding, yeah. So so for clarification, the red and gray blob in the middle is protons and neutrons.
It is all of the free hydrogen and other elements that were compressed due to the surrounding sphere of proton-based material.
And they're held together by what?
Well, they're being forced together by this magnetic, what I would say, pressure, because I don't know the terminology too well.
And then the other blob, the kind of avocado shaped thing there.
Yeah, right. So that is the core, which I would say for now, but it is the center. It is where all the electrons would reside.
And it's held together by
leashes of springs, essentially.
Okay.
All right. So if these protons in the center are compressed into a solid sphere, then they create a point charge that attracts the electrons out away from the center. And what we are witnessing here is going to be a little bit revealing, is the birth of the sun due to the existence of the moon. Now, doesn't make a lot of sense, but I did just claim that the sun is composed of electrons, not hydrogen.
Sorry, I just need to clarify what you said there. The sun's existence is due to the moon.
Yes. Now I'm claiming this is the moon due to a couple reasons. One is that it has a heavier side on the outward post, and it is a more proton-based, higher ratio side facing inward. And that would answer why the moon always faces one way on Earth. Now I know we can say tidal locking, but I'm just going to make the arguing point, and I'm going to get back to it later. But I am claiming that the moon is inside this thing, and the sun is in a counterbalance with it. So without further digressions, we are going to consider the existence of a pure hydrogen planet. Since the center is made out of electrons and the sun is made out of electrons, I believe that this planet would most likely reside between the two. Whereas the planet with all that dead mass, the chargeless neutron, that would have a larger radius and it would stay away on the outside of the sun's circumnavigation. So we would see these two rotate around the center like so. This large shell around the outside edge is getting bigger and bigger, and remember, the heaviest elements are on the outside. So, the last slide in this logical path is to assume that all the solid planets would align based off their proton to mass ratio, which I went ahead and looked up the spectrograph results, and I saw that the Mercury was about 60% due to its excessive amount of hydrogen. And the other two solid planets, Mars and Venus, were about 50% exactly. The gaseous planets are made almost entirely out of hydrogen with a lot of helium, and that is why I believe they are closer to the center. And the moon is out here. But where is the Earth? The Earth is the edge, and we're not standing on it, we're standing in it. So my book is illustrated with this diagram that we saw in the thumbnail, which shows you the path that light takes through this ether. And remember earlier I said that the ether converges where the electrons are. So because the ether converges, the time it takes for light to get from one spring of ether to the other, transmitted through electromagnetic waves or however it is defined properly, that must remain. I'm sorry, I was rambling a little bit trying to figure out where I was going with this thought. Basically, the speed of light slows down as the ether converges. So I can prove that with atomic clocks at multiple altitudes showing that one ticks by slower. We already know that astronauts age slower at high altitudes. We think Einstein said it's due to speed. I say it's due to altitude. So yes, I am a concave earther. I believe that the speed of light slows down as you go into the universe. And because of that, I also believe that you shrink as you go into the universe. This is that experiment we saw earlier with the interferometer. I just sped it up like 18 times so that I can put it in this video. And I'm going to have to take a break here and ask if there's any questions, because I know I just kind of said something ridiculous.
Oh, so many. Oh goodness.
Dear. Let me, if I could, Craig, I know.
I need to organize my thoughts.
Yeah,
I tried to make notes, but
we've got some super chat questions. Maybe we could go there.
I need to take a Riley, so I'll be back in 2 secs.
All right. Take a Riley. We got Asylum says gravity is dead. All hail Dropity.
Yes, thank you. You are actually traveling in straight lines when you are traveling through space, and it is the Earth that is moving up. So if you drop the ball stays in a straight path, and the Earth comes up to meet it. Dropity.
Okay. We've got Asylum says again, what was this guy's scientific background again?
I'm a 6-time college dropout with about 4 classes shy of my bachelor's in physics.
All right. That's excellent. We've got, this is a good one. Throw the Dwarf is asking, ask how much damage I have to roll to break the ice wall.
There is no ice wall. When you walk to the edge of the Earth, you simply end up on the other side of it. Like it's a sphere. You loop. It's circumnavigatable in any direction.
Yeah. So the short answer then is you have to beat 40 on a 3D 20 roll. There we go. Stringer News 1 says, for $5, I have a theory that beer and pizza are the fundamental units of the universe. Who wants to pay me to research this?
I think he should define it as such first, and then write the theory based on that.
Write a book. I'll get you in touch with Doug to get his same publisher.
I am the publisher, by the way.
There we go. Maybe you can publish Stringer News 1 theory on beer and pizza.
I am looking for an army of grad students, by the way.
There you go. Wouldn't you first need to become a grad student and then go past being a grad? That's generally mind.
Yes.
Never mind.
As the entrepreneur heart desires, it hires people smarter than itself to do that work.
Yeah, skip that. So okay. What RT96 says, what is the effect of this on the Vogon Highway?
I have never heard of that.
You've never heard of the Vogon Highway?
I have focused on very little things outside of this.
Craig, are you there? No. Oh.
He said no. Or
Craig is going to get his towel because he needs to be ready. Oh yes, General E. Shady says he's Lindsay Harris's upcoming star pupil. Base Desk.
Can I get a definition of who that is?
Lindsay Harris is a flat earther that has made up some interesting forces and things to explain flat Earth. And if you hate your brain, go watch Lindsay Harris. Asylum says, how does this theory incorporate SPDF orbitals?
Well, if we take everything we know, every data point about the heliocentric based perspective, all we need to do is just flip it inside out and everything still adds up the same. We just need to explain it with different forces.
Okay, there you go. Yep. All right. Andrew Stoll says, do you have any math to back this up?
Yes, and we're going to save that until we get into the nitty gritty.
There you go, Andrew. Prepare yourself to be mathed. Yes. It didn't work. Sorry. Holy Small says, boing, boing, and now you owe me a pair of pants. So
I will be happy to supply.
That was in dollars, not pounds. So pants to that person is the things that you wear on the outside. Where it pounds, it would be things that you wear on the inside.
Yeah, explaining Superman over here is really confusing to people.
He's wearing his clothes normally.
He wears his pants on the outside. Yeah, we all wear our pants on the outside.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Connell Connell Silverfur says that which can be claimed without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Evidence of the springs, or they don't exist.
Well, I would like to prove that they exist directly, but I need more research done. I'm in the conceptual stage. I've got a bit of math, a bit of data points, but I need to do more, and I'm well aware of that. But I'm also ready to start talking about it. So,
all right, let me finish these super chats here. Bella Charge says you heard it. Hashtag Donut Earth.
I resent that. I don't know why this has to fall into such a sarcastic category, but I understand this is a alternative model. Like, I spent my whole life getting that kind of feedback. So
it's not donut, man. It's
that. How would gravity work on one side and not the other? It's just simply impossible.
Well, we will find out how it works on your anyway. Asylum is wondering if you completed the first semester. You got a tough crowd.
Of college?
I'm guessing, yeah, college.
Well, I have an associate's in science at least. I just was never able to upgrade that to the bachelor's. I spent a lot of time arguing in class, and my grades showed that.
I see. That doesn't, arguguing with professors doesn't get you. All right, Penguin 95 for £5. He wears his pants on the inside and says, hang on springs and aether with the electrons in the middle. Wouldn't that have shown different trajectories and speeds when they collided particles at CERN?
Well, the assumptions at CERN are that the electrons are there. But then again, we also have no way to prove where an electron is, because every time we zoom in too much, it vanishes into a possibility. So
Schrodinger's cat. Not Schrodinger. Wow,
the double slit.
No. The uncertainty principle. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, yes.
Right. So if we don't know where the electrons are, how can we be certain that we're looking at their activity? What I think is we're looking at the reminiscent electromagnetic trade-off. Like I said, we're in a very conceptual stage, but
all right,
we can redefine a lot of things here.
It probably will be necessary. Stringer News 1 says it's not April Fool's Day yet.
I was a month off. Blast.
Dang. And then Hugh Jars. Do you know Hugh?
I don't know many people.
Hugh Jars. He says, what drugs is this guy on? And can I have some?
Well, I spent the better part of my education on Concerta and Risperidol. So if that answers your question, that's how you overclock yourself. Uppers and downers simultaneously.
Okay. Indy Tiger is wondering what happens when a spring breaks.
I don't know if that's possible. That seems like it would just throw the whole thing in a loop.
It does sound a little bit like the weak force. Just saying.
However, I'm saying that it fundamentally must exist, or else if the spring were to disappear and the electron and the proton could recombine, then the neutron, wherever it is, would have to vanish simultaneously as the anti-neutron, because they exist in the same realm. An interesting thing that I thought about once was there's nothing holding neutrons on except the cluster of the atoms. So there should be neutrons flinging off, and the radius of the universe is compressing. So there is an end. It's just not going to be for a while.
Okay. William Foley says, I don't know if he disproved gravity, but he has discovered handwavium.
I am of Italian descent, and I cannot speak without moving my body.
All right. And Mr. Unite Mr. Unite for the Children says he doesn't know the Vogons. Let me read him some of my poetry to punish him.
No.
You paid for it. Let the man speak.
No, we will not be listening to Vogon poetry. Thank you.
No Vogon poetry, Mr. Unite for the Children. I don't care. It is not going to happen. All right. Final one for now from Asylum says SPDF orbitals are on atoms. How do you explain them?
I realized that halfway through my BS answer, and I'm going to have to revert back to the CERN answer, where we are not sure where the electrons are. We know what it looks like, what our experiments tell us, but those are based off of our interpretations. If we interpret that the electrons are somewhere else, we can start focusing on the actual nature of electromagnetic waves.
Every computer science major in the world just had an aneurysm.
I intend on hurting people's feelings.
No, you literally made their brains like rot at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if there's any of them out there that didn't suffer, then I would be interested in hearing what they have to say about this. because I need to find someone who's smarter than I am to complete this.
All right. And then what about SPQR orbitals?
I failed chemistry several times.
Oh, that's all right. You would have learned about that in Latin class. Okay, Craig, do you have any questions?
Wow. There's so many, really. Can you explain how ions work to me?
Not currently.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Okay.
How do you explain chemical reactions that share electrons between valence shells and stuff?
Well, like I said, these shared electrons would have to be reinterpreted as entangled ether, and that's really the only direction, and that's as far as I can take that question. I really am poorly educated when it comes to chemistry.
So what would happen if we were separating H2O into its constituent elements? How would the transfer take place?
Well, you would have, in a sense, a knot between two ether, and they would remain entangled until they unwound themselves. So that could, in a sense, explain the nature of what we see experimentally. And like I said, this is not my subject, so I'm just guessing based off of what I've already known.
Okay. Electricity is a bit of a problem in your model,
right?
Yeah. Computers work though.
Yeah, computers definitely work.
Well, everything still works. I can't claim that something that we see isn't there. Yeah, it's merely an interpretation.
Your explanation of how electrons transfer their kinetic energy essentially doesn't work in the confines of how electricity is transferred between conductors. They're kind of incompatible with what is actually happening on a subatomic scale. So I just, in your model, how would a charge get from point A to point B?
It would have to be through an electromagnetic wave. We know that when a beam of light intersects a piece of metal, I think this is the photoelectric effect I'm trying to describe here. It turns into electricity in a sense. But if you were to excite a piece of metal enough, it could turn into another beam of light. So if it was hot enough, I assume this is how it works. Can we restate the question? I'm not sure where I was going with that, to be honest.
Oh, but it's just the general flow of electricity, how electricity gets from point A to point B. I don't understand how that physical mechanism works with your model.
That's electrons moving, and how does that not happen? Protons
like
now move?
Protons are still there. It's the electrons. It's basically. It's going to take the second edition to answer that question. I've made it really clear that I'm not really well educated on what happens on the Earth. Sorry, I'm not well educated on what happens on the Earth's surface, especially on the subatomic level. I'm merely trying to reconceptualize the grand scheme of things, and I had to include the inside-out atom. So there's going to be somebody eventually who works with me to help me figure this out, and that's going to be a question I have to answer much later.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I've got a lot of questions about how the model works with gravity and stuff, but I think that's more that we're still to get there. But I'm still kind of trying to digest what I've heard there too, and I may have a few more notes come back to me. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's maybe you have more to go. You had like a second part coming now.
Yeah, let me go through the tabs here and see what I had lined up.
Wait, while you do that, let me get just a little input from Mark Steele on how atoms work.
Non-ionized radiation is the natural occurring radiation field that is supposed to not cause ionization. However, that only applies to natural occurring and not man-made, and that's how you can cause ionization.
So what's ionization?
Ionization is where you knock an ion off an atom.
There you go. You knock an ion off an atom. So says Mark Steele.
You knock an. What's an ion?
An ion. There's an eon and an ion. One's positively charged. One's negatively charged.
Okay.
All right. So I know you didn't hear that, Doug, but Mark Steele says that ionization is when you knock an ion off an atom, and that there are two types of things. You have an eon and an ion. One is positive, one is negative. Maybe you could work with him.
Well, like I said, I'm open to hiring people.
Yes. Well, Mark Steele is in need of money. His scam has gotten a little dwindled lately. Anyway, yeah, do you have I mean, we have more questions from the audience.
I'd love to just keep answering them.
Oh, all right. Then I will go let's see. I mean, there's going to be some. All right, Asylum says he's looking for smarter people. He's volunteering his goldfish.
Well, then, I'm interested in meeting this goldfish. He's got such a good recommendation.
There you go. Okay. Oh no. Oh, XPegwin95, is that? I believe that does look like it may be Vogon poetry.
Oh, here we go.
No, don't read it.
Oh,
it will break the internet.
I will read it gently. Oh, freddled, grunt bugly, thy micteriations are to me as plurtled, gabbled clutchits in midsummer morning, unallured bee.
You do realize that even though it comes from an alien species, it falls under the preludes of the Geneva Convention because it is cruel and unusual punishment.
I'm sorry, people. I did it gently though. All right, Golden Brisket for $2 asking, what's the difference between eons and ions?
Did we already answer that?
No, we asked what's ionization. He's asking what's the difference between eons and ions.
Well, from what I've heard, one of them is missing an electron. One of them has an extra one.
So says Mark Steele. But in reality, an ion is either positive or negative charge, whether it's a cation or an ion, and an eon is a long amount of time.
An ion is just some, an atom that doesn't have the right amount of electrons, really.
It's a mismatch. Woden Toad is wondering, how do breeder reactors work?
Another thing I would need to define before I answer.
Yep. All right. So you got a few holes. So we've got Mike Billars.
Oh, hey, Toon, what do you think would happen if I showed him the video of the inside of a tokamak fusion reactor?
Ooh.
You mean that blue light? I've seen that. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Many issues with your model because with what's going on there. Many issues.
Yeah. All right. Mike Billar says, looks like MC Toon didn't have enough to do today. So we hired a dude to put on a jacket, get effing blitzed off vodka.
Exactly, Tony.
And play Mad Lib with a physics book. Oh, Doug, I love you, man. You're awesome. Justin, Greek last name that I can't pronounce, says how, and I'm sorry. If you want me to actually pronounce it, like, tell me how. How would Aether explain half integer spin, needing 4 pi rotation to return? Electrons can pass without making knots. Even with his model, the curvature of inversion would have the wrong Escherness.
Escherness. Could you?
Escherness.
So
yeah, I don't know what that word means.
Symmetry. It seems like that's the word that would fill that gap there. This is back to Mad Libs here.
That could be Mad Libs. Could be. Ooh, Stringer News 1 says the person that helps you figure things out. You mean a psychiatrist?
That didn't work.
It did not work. The voice of experience there. Generally, Shady says his parents must be so proud. Nope, I'm lolling hard.
No, I want to hear it, please.
That's what he said. That's what he wrote.
His parents must be so proud. They're proud that I finally got onto a YouTube channel. They're otherwise pretty stressed out over this.
Doug's parents, you are saints. Thank you very much. Take good care of him. You're doing well.
Right. So, if you don't mind, I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Just going back to his presentation. What could you tell me what you think the Mux and Morley experiment was actually doing?
No.
Did you read it?
No. I've never heard of that either.
The Mux and Morley experiment, you had that up as part of your presentation.
what did it look like? I can find it. Reference it visually.
Well, they used an interferometer to.
Oh, Michelson and Morley. I'm sorry, your accent. All right, so
what was the Michelson-Morley experiment actually designed for?
It was supposed to, from my interpretation of everything that I've learned, it was supposed to determine the direction, the master direction that Earth was taking through space by catching the ether wind, basically in a sense trying to see what direction we were going through, but inadvertently disproving that the ether existed by saying that, well, there is no ether because it's undetectable. There must be something else going on, which Einstein stepped in.
You're kind of
parts.
Right,
yeah, parts of that were right. So the point of the Michelson-Morley experiment was to test if there was an ether. What was hypothesized was if there was a medium called the ether that light needed to propagate through, and it permeated all the space, then as Earth rotated around the sun in its orbital path, it would leave a wake. The same as if you put your hand out of a car window, you feel the drag on the air. And what they hypothesized was that drag would cause light to come in at a different speed based on if you were going into or against the perceived drag of the ether. So they tested it at two different points in Earth's orbit to see if there would be a different interference pattern. And what they found was there was no interference pattern change, which pretty much blew apart the hypothesis of there being an ether.
Right. But then when we turned it vertical, we saw that the interpretation could go that the Earth is accelerating upwards at all points, or that it's accelerating downwards at all points. So whichever one, we would need atomic clocks to determine exactly which one.
The Michelson-Morley experiment could never determine if the Earth was accelerating upwards or downwards.
Well, it was to catch an ether wind, and now when we rotate it up and down, we see that there is a somewhat of a change along the vertical axis.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was going to ask you about. With the experiment that you were showing and the one that you recreated, are you saying that what's happening there is not the predictions of the current model that we have? Correct.
They could say that the change in the speed of light, or the acceleration of speed of light down towards Earth, could be due to gravity, since the E equals mc squared suggests there is a mass associated with the speed of an electron or a photon.
Yeah, but the interference pattern that you got, I don't understand why that would be outside of the predictions of the model that we have.
Because that no matter what you do with that device, it should show no change in interference because there is no ether. If there was an ether,
no, that's not what an interferometer does. An interferometer simply shows an interference pattern if it's been moved, because it registers a change in acceleration.
Right. So why does it show?
Do you know the Sagnac effect and how that works within an interferometer?
No.
So let me. Can I share my screen?
Can I say before you do that? I think we do expect there to be a change in that interferometer when it's vertical because of gravity, and the Pound-Rebka experiment was the first one to confirm that. But
sorry, continue.
Craig is gonna present here in a second.
So, right. So let me just. Right, is that sharing?
No, hold on a second.
Yeah, it is. I see it. It's on the Zoom call, at least.
Our people at home don't. There we go. Yeah, they do. No.
Okay, right. So this is the inside of an interferometric fiber optic gyroscope, which uses the Sagnac effect and the speed of light to show if there's movement. Okay, so this blue box fires a beam of light, and it's split into two paths. The path the blue bit's going and the path the right bit's going. Now, if the instrument itself, the whole thing, isn't moving, what will happen is when the light recombines at the other side, it won't show an interference pattern. There'd be no interference between, because it's taken the same amount of time. But if the entire instrument is moving, like when you were moving the entire interferometer that you were using, that will literally change the distance that the light has to travel around one of the paths and create an interference pattern when it goes back. And that's the prediction that we have. That should happen. If you're, whether it's vertical or it's horizontal, if you're moving an interferometer about, because it changes the path that the light has to travel, you are always going to expect an interference pattern. And like Toon said, horizontally, you have to take into account the energy lost by the photons trying to escape the gravitational pull, and that's what you would see in the Pound-Rebka experiment. So what you were showing there is is within the predictions of the model that we have already.
However, the current model guarantees that the Earth is moving. And if that were true, then what you said would show that the Earth is moving through space with the interference on the horizontal plane.
It absolutely does. Thanks, Bob.
So why then do we have special relativity? Wasn't there an issue with it appearing that there, no matter what direction we pointed it, and no matter what rotational point around the sun we were at, or we
need to clarify a little bit. The Michelson-Morley experiment was not what Craig just showed. He showed more the Michelson-Gale experiment where there's a a ring.
Yeah.
Michelson-Morley, there's like two arms going opposite directions.
But it's the same concept.
Yeah, they're similar, but they will measure different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
so
my point is that if an interferometer is moving, then that's going. It's going to show an interference pattern.
But the one that he showed, Craig, was not the ring style. It was the Michelson-Morley style.
His was
So it had one arm going horizontal, one arm going vertical. So we would expect, even when stationary, that the one that went up and down would have a different route because of gravity than the horizontal one.
Yeah.
I think. So
I'd be interested to see that version of it on the vertical plane and how it would react to the up and down motion or the rotational exposure.
Yeah. So, okay.
Now there's another part that I want to get into before we call this quits for the night.
Okay. Well, let me see if I have a couple other. Jose Reyes is wondering if you do children's parties because you're hilarious.
Thank you. I used to be an Uber driver, so entertaining individuals is my profession.
Yeah. I also did drive drunk people around for a while.
I just drive my wife insane.
There you go. Good job.
Is it pay?
And finally, this is PhD Tony, who uses gravity on a daily basis for his job. Says, how does your guest explain the process of nuclear fusion and fission? Where does that energy come from?
It must come from the energy it required to entangle the atoms to begin with. It's stored in a sense, and that's as far as I can take that answer.
Where's it stored?
Remember when I said during that tiny Big Bang that there was an explosion, but there's a collision? There's basically this giant mosh pit of all these atoms mashing together and getting entangled. Then once it starts to rotate, then it sorts itself out and sort of.
So for nuclear fusion, for instance, the sun, it happens when there is an extremely large amount of mass that collapses under its own gravitational force and overcomes all the other forces that are within atoms and makes them fuse together. So hydrogen becomes helium and then releases what's left over as energy. Okay, that entire process of that energy being released because of the reaction, that entire thing doesn't work with your model. Where does that extra energy come from? We can use spectroscopy and measure the different types of energies and radiation coming from the sun, and we know that they are specific byproducts of nuclear fusion. So how does that fusion process work in your model?
Well, in particular, the sun in my model is not composed of hydrogen and helium, although it does show up in a spectrograph as such. It's because the tying together the entanglement of the electrons at the upper end would show up as a bonded electron, but it would interpreted on the spectrograph would appear as a helium.
I mean, that's a pretty large claim to say that the sun isn't hydrogen. We sent probes there. It's very hard to just deny all the knowledge that we have and the understanding that we have. We can literally see the byproducts that come from the sun, and we know that these are the byproducts that are expected under nuclear fusion. So you would have to explain where all those byproducts come from if that's not coming from a hydrogen turning to helium nuclear fusion reaction.
Well, in a sense, we're determining our interpretations by observing the experimental results. So when we send a probe out, look at the sun, and we see what happens, we're matching that to what we think it is. And basically, all I'm doing is just conceptually assuming that it can't be made of hydrogen in order for this model to work, and we'll have to verify that in other indirect ways. So I can't claim that I can't prove that the sun is made out electrons until I can get to experimental results that are indirect. So, like I said, this is the first edition, and it is not a gradual.
Okay, so sorry, just off the top of a minute. So if the sun is just a big collection of electrons, where does the energy come from that we receive from the sun every day?
Photons.
Right. They are ripples in the ether that travel as energy, packets, photons, if you will, in the old model. But in this one, it's essentially just an electromagnetic wave traveling through the ether. And the energy originated during the Big Bang, when wherever this energy came from integrated itself and to allow matter to exist. So the energy was given, and that's as far as I can say.
Okay.
So,
let's get
back into it.
the next segment here.
Right,
there was just one more thing I wanted to broach, and if you don't mind, and do you know what the recombination event is?
No.
Right.
All right. Simple enough.
It kind of explains how a lot of the matter in the universe came to be at the point where the universe became cool enough for electrons to bond to protons and stuff.
Right.
And we can see that happening, or we can see when that happened. Right. We look out into the universe and we can see the cosmic microwave background radiation, and that is literally an echo of the recombination event, the point when protons and electrons and started to combine to be able to form primordial elements. And I was just thinking that in your model, there's no explanation for the cosmic microwave background radiation and how we know that formed.
Well, I'm excited to tell you that there is. So the micro background, sorry, what you said,
the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Can we come up with an acronym real fast? So I don't have to.
CMBW.
Thank you. With the CMBW was originally discovered, it was confusing because it was coming at us evenly in all directions. And that doesn't make a lot of sense, except for the explanation that the Big Bang happened and we were constantly traveling away from all points at all times. The expansion,
yeah, that kind of makes sense, yeah.
But if the source of that radiation is the center, and it is a basically snapshot frozen in time because it's taking millions of years for light to travel to get to us, then what we're looking at is the center during the explosion, and it is coming out from the center towards all the points, all the observers on the Earth, so that the background radiation is consistent because it's all in the same place. And we're just
wait. So the background radiation comes from Earth?
It comes from the center of the cosmos, which is within the Earth, in the inverted model, where the electrons are, and they look like stars.
Right. Okay. But then that wouldn't explain the fact that we can see a perceivable redshift in the cosmic microwave background radiation.
That just depends on if the electron is moving towards us or away from us.
Yeah. But again, that doesn't make sense in your model because...
Well, in my model, the electrons are constantly in this chaotic motion going around the center, closer and further away from the center. Sometimes they pass through it and their images become distorted. They look like nebulas or supernovas, depending on their direction. But when an electron is approaching the center, it's getting larger. The image is becoming stretched due to the things that we're about to discuss in part 2 of this presentation. And it all makes sense once you really understand the model.
Okay. All right. I've got so many more questions, but please do move on.
I won't prolong their wait. So chapter 12 is the nature of light. It's my favorite chapter because it just directly deduces how light should work based off of what we currently know.
So you want to present your screen?
Oh, sorry. At least I got it back here. 1 second. Zoom meeting, share screen. All right. Share. Perfect. Okay, so where are we? Let's zoom out. So here is the beginning of chapter 12. What we're doing is taking the old model's angle of the beam of light that it makes with the surface of the Earth based on the simple geometry of the straight lines and the circular surface. Then we take that angle and we just flip it into the inside and we just notch the edge of this circle to see where the light should be pointing if it's coming from the sun. So what we see in step 1 here is all these angles pointing towards the sun in some kind of fanning motion. Now we'll go to the next page and do the same thing with the opposite side of the Earth. If we take these lines of altitude that we discussed earlier, then we can flip them and match the angle that they make with the shadow created by this Earth within the sun's light.
Now, do you not have a problem that looks like a butt?
I know it looks like a butt.
Okay.
And I've often seen.
Well, you see butt, I see boobs. I mean, it just says a little bit about us, MC2, and
Yeah,
you know.
I guess.
There are
To each his own, I guess. In the chat, I guess.
Butter boobs, chat. Butter boobs.
Yeah, which one? I guess.
Well, the question is, where's the? Never mind. All right. So
Actually, now you know what? I see a Pac-Man.
Okay, that's a little bit more PG. So
Waka waka waka.
Somebody said he sees a peach. But I see the butt is farting night.
that is the proper interpretation.
Oh, we've got a lot of butts. Craig, you're kind of.
Yeah, see, the day is like when you're eating the Rogan Josh, and the night is when you wish you hadn't.
Regardless of the secondary interpretations, this is how we would explain night and day in the inverted model. So moving on, we continue by connecting the dashes and then just assuming with smooth lines where the light should travel in this two-dimensional cutaway. So now I want to focus, if I'm remembering the path of this book correctly.
I mean, you did write it.
The shadows of the moon. So if we place the moon in 28 equal distance locations around the center. I know this is a really off-centered image, but just bear with me. I use Google Docs or Google Drawings to make it. Anyways, we can use the location of the moon with respect to these lines to determine what side of them will be shadowed, and then place individuals, observers around the inside of this globe to see what they would observe. So imagine that you're standing at the bottom of this diagram. If you looked into the, I assume it would be the west, you would see the sun on the horizon, even though it's above you. And if you looked in the opposite direction, you would see the full moon rising. And we know that when the moon is setting at the same time, or the moon is rising at the same time the sun sets, that's a full moon event. However, it's not exactly specific, but we'll save the discrepancies for later. But so far, this works.